Gemini, do you feel the energy around you shifting? There's something strange in the air, as if someone, or something, is quietly observing every thought, every subtle emotion inside you. Lately, you might have felt like you're being tested not through big events, but through vague words, confusing silences, and glances that make you wonder, are they misunderstanding me? The universe is using the smallest things to test something very big. Whether your heart and your mind are truly in alignment. Because this weekend, someone may intentionally provoke you through words, through silence, or through a carefully chosen indifference. They want to see if you'll lose control, try to prove yourself, or if you've grown enough to simply smile and say nothing. And this is the moment you must remember. The universe never sends tests to break you down. It sends them to see if you're ready to rise higher. So, don't do anything. At least not for the next few days. Don't react. Don't explain. Don't chase anyone. Just step back, take a deep breath, and let life speak for you. If you've ever felt this when someone tested you with hurtful words, leave a comment saying, "I trust the timing of my evolution." And if this video feels like it's speaking directly to you, hit like so the universe knows you're ready, and subscribe so you don't miss the messages made just for your Gemini journey. Now, prepare yourself a warm cup of tea or your favorite coffee. Find a quiet corner, and let's dive deeper into the journey the universe is unfolding just for you, Gemini. Part 1. A warning from the universe. The provocation is coming. Gemini, sometimes, before a new chapter of your life begins, the universe sends you a very subtle test. Not a loud event, not something that shakes your world, but a series of small signs, vague words, confusing emotions, or even a long, inexplicable silence. This weekend, the energy around you is shifting. Something is testing the balance between the two halves of your Gemini soul, between your sharp intellect and your emotional intuition. You may feel restless or notice someone touching the most sensitive parts of your heart. They might say something that hurts you, or stay silent on purpose just to make you overthink. Whatever form it takes, they're testing whether you'll fall into the old trap, reacting immediately just to prove yourself. But Gemini, this time is different. This isn't a battle for you to win or lose. It's a test of awareness. The universe wants to see if you've truly mastered the lesson of silence and calm. So do nothing. Don't react. Don't try to prove you're right. And don't use your intellect to outsmart anyone. You might find this goes completely against your nature. Gemini is the sign of communication, of words, of quick mental response. You're used to handling situations with logic and language, but sometimes that very gift pulls you into meaningless arguments. The more you talk, the further they push you away from your truth. The more you try to explain, the more they make you doubt yourself. And that is exactly the test the universe has designed for you. When someone upsets you, your first instinct is to react. That's human nature. But your current lesson is introspection, to look within, not outward. Silence is not surrender. It's the choice of someone who already knows their worth, doesn't need validation. The universe is asking you to step back, not to avoid, but to gain perspective. When you don't react, you start seeing things clearly. Who is truly provoking you, and who is merely reflecting the fear inside you? Perhaps the one who hurt you didn't mean harm at all. They were sent by the universe as a mirror to show you the part of yourself that still needs healing. And if you look deeper, you'll realize they're not attacking you. They're triggering a fragile piece of your soul you've long tried to forget. Maybe it's the old feeling of not being heard, or the fear of being misunderstood or abandoned. But only when you dare to be silent will you hear the voice of that wound. And only when you hear it will true healing begin. This weekend, when provocation appears through a message, a word, or a look, remember, do nothing, not because you're weak, but because you've grown. True power doesn't lie in reaction. It lies in protecting your inner peace. Gemini, sometimes your greatest victory is when no one knows you chose silence. Because you don't need them to see it, the universe does. The universe is always watching every choice you make. Every time you stay calm instead of angry, silent instead of defensive, loving instead of confrontational. If you can pass this test, you'll feel something remarkable, a lightness of mind, a release from small dramas that used to drain you. Then you'll understand why the universe told you not to act this weekend. Because only in stillness can your energy be reborn, like a gentle breeze after a long storm. Remember, your silence is not avoidance. It's presence at a higher level. It's the strongest answer you can ever give to the universe. If you feel that something is about to happen, if someone is testing your peace, place your hand over your heart and whisper, I don't need to react to prove my worth. If you can feel this energy, leave a comment. I choose peace over reaction. And don't forget to hit like to affirm your choice of peace, and subscribe so the universe can continue sending you messages at the right time, on the right path, and at the exact frequency of your Gemini soul. Part 2. The Gemini Test. Will wisdom or ego take the lead? Gemini, you've always been known for your intelligence, quick wit, and your uncanny ability to read people's energy through just a few words. But because you're so sensitive to every vibration around you, you sometimes get pulled into unnecessary conversations, verbal battles, where all you really want is to be understood, to be heard, to prove that you're not wrong. This weekend, the universe is setting up a double-layered test just for you. A situation will appear, something that may seem small, a conversation, a message, or a vague comment, but it will touch the deepest part of you, where your two Geminis start to argue. One half wants to stay calm, rational, and clear-minded. The other, emotional and prideful, will push you to speak up immediately, to defend yourself, to protect your image. And that's when the universe smiles. Because this is the exact test you've failed many times before. Do you remember those moments when you argued until you were exhausted? Just to prove your point, only to sit later in silence, feeling regret. Not because you were wrong, but because you let your precious energy slip away through words that didn't need to be spoken. Gemini, you must understand, the universe isn't putting you in this situation to decide who's right or wrong. It simply wants to know, do you still need to prove your worth in order to feel safe? Because those who truly know who they are no longer need to explain themselves. This is the test between wisdom and ego. Wisdom whispers, stay calm, observe, let time reveal the truth. Ego shouts, no, I have to speak now, or they'll misunderstand me. Both voices will rise almost at the same time, and you'll feel yourself torn between them. But remember, wisdom never shouts. Only ego needs to scream to be heard. And do you know what the miracle is, Gemini? When you choose silence, everything shifts. The other person's energy loses its power over your emotions. The waves in your heart begin to calm. And suddenly, you see everything clearly, not through the lens of pain, but through the clarity of your soul. Sometimes, not responding immediately is the strongest response. Because your silence isn't agreement, it's wisdom. It says, I don't need to participate in a conversation just to protect my image. I know who I am, and that's enough. You might feel uncomfortable in that moment, because your Gemini nature always wants to engage, to speak, to express. But this is your opportunity to strengthen your inner power, to learn how to watch, to listen, to understand before reacting. When you stay quiet, you begin to hear your soul's true voice, gentle, subtle, yet filled with a depth of wisdom that the noise of the world can never touch. The universe doesn't want you to stop communicating. It wants you to elevate the way you communicate. Not to speak in order to win, but to understand. Not to reply, but to connect. Not to be heard, but to hear yourself more deeply each time you speak. Think about it. How many times have you reacted instantly, only to later think, I should have stayed silent? Those weren't failures. They were rehearsals for this exact moment when you're finally ready to do things differently. Because a mature Gemini isn't someone who speaks well, it's someone who knows when to speak and when to stop. This weekend, when you feel someone testing your patience, don't rush to react. Try smiling instead. Take a deep breath. And remember, the universe is watching to see whom you'll choose as your guide, wisdom, or ego. If you choose correctly, you won't just pass this test, you'll raise your soul's frequency to an entirely new level. Gemini, you don't need to win every argument to prove your value. Sometimes, choosing not to engage is the ultimate victory. So listen closely, not to others, but to yourself. If you've ever reacted and later regretted it, leave a comment. This time, I choose wisdom. And don't forget to subscribe, because your soul's journey of growth is far from over, and I'll be right here, walking with you through every test the universe sends your way. Part 3. The universe is sending signs, but not everyone can see them. Gemini, sometimes, the universe doesn't speak in words. It whispers through coincidences, through moments that make you pause and wonder, is this really just random? And if you're hearing this now, the answer is no. Nothing is random at this point in your life. The universe is sending you signs, gentle, subtle ones. A sudden message. A conversation you accidentally overhear. An old friend who reappears out of nowhere. Or even a post that randomly crosses your feed and makes your heart stir. All of these carry messages meant specifically for you. But here's the secret. You can only recognize them when you're calm enough to listen. Why? Because Mercury, your ruling planet, is currently in a resting phase, as if pressing pause on external communication so you can look deeper within. If lately your conversations feel confusing, if people seem to misunderstand you, or if you keep encountering familiar patterns, don't worry, these are signs that you're entering a phase of self-reflection. The universe doesn't test you through major events, but through small, energetic interactions, moments where you must choose between reacting or observing. For example, someone might say something that bothers you. Your Gemini instinct will want to reply immediately, to explain, to clear the misunderstanding. But your soul quietly whispers, wait, don't react, just watch. Because in that brief pause, that's where the magic happens. Gemini, you are the sign of intellect, of ideas, of endless verbal flow. But the universe is teaching you a new form of communication. Communication through energy. It's when you don't have to speak, yet others still feel what you mean. It's when your silent presence is stronger than any words. And it's when you finally understand that truth doesn't need to be shouted. It only needs to be felt. Pay attention to the smallest signs around you in the coming days. A repeating number, a vivid dream, a song that plays right when you think of someone. None of these are coincidences. They are the language of the universe. Each sign is a reminder. You're on the right path. Stay calm. Don't let the world's noise drown your intuition. Because for Gemini, intuition is your highest form of intelligence. When you combine your sharp logic with the deep awareness of your soul, you gain the ability to perceive what others can only sense faintly. But this can only happen when you are still enough. So, whenever you feel the urge to speak, to defend, to prove, to be heard, pause and ask yourself, does this need to be said? Or is it just my ego reacting? That question is the mirror of your soul. If the answer is, to prove I'm right, stay silent. If the answer is, to connect with love, then speak, but speak softly, with clarity and grace. The universe is teaching you that coincidences aren't just signs, they are invitations. Invitations to go deeper, where you no longer need the past to define you, no longer need reactions to prove yourself, no longer need words to show your truth. You only need to be present, aware, and let everything flow naturally. When you learn to recognize these signs, you'll start to feel that the entire world is speaking to you through light, through wind, through intuition. And you'll smile, realizing you were never alone. If you've been noticing synchronicities lately, leave a comment. I trust my intuition. And don't forget to subscribe, so that each time the universe sends you another signal, you'll be the first to recognize it, because you, Gemini, are awakening to a deeper level of your soul. Part 4. Different tests for each Gemini group. Gemini. Not all Geminis are the same. Each birth group carries its own distinct energy, like 3 different chapters of the same story. And this weekend, the universe will send each group a unique, subtle, but deeply meaningful lesson. Geminis born May 21, 30. The test of recognition and self-worth. For you, the challenge will come from work, from colleagues, or people in authority. Someone might question your abilities, doubt your value, or deliberately try to downplay your influence in a project. You may feel hurt not because you lost an opportunity, but because of the thought, I've worked so hard. Why can't they see it? But this isn't injustice, Gemini, it's a test of faith. The universe wants to see whether you truly believe in your worth, even when no one else acknowledges it. Remember, true light never needs to prove itself. If you stay silent and keep doing what aligns with your energy, everything will eventually shine on its own. So instead of reacting, let your results be your response. Your calmness will make others look twice. Geminis born May 31, June 10. The test of love and connection. During this phase, the universe is pulling you into an emotional loop. Someone from your past, a friend, a lover, or a person who once hurt you, may reappear. They might not show up in person, but a message, a memory, or even a random social media post could stir your emotions. You'll feel the urge to express everything, to be understood, to explain what was left unsaid. But Gemini, this is a lesson in faith and letting go. You don't need to speak to be understood. You only need to understand yourself. When you stop seeking sympathy, you reclaim your power. Let others hold their opinions. Let time speak for what words cannot explain. True love doesn't need too many words. And sometimes, silence is the language of a healing soul. Geminis born June 11, 20. The lesson of solitude and inner voice. This group is going through powerful emotional transformation. You may feel left out, misunderstood by your own family, or distanced from those who used to feel close. Not because you did anything wrong, but because your energy is evolving, and theirs is not. This solitude isn't punishment. It's sacred space, a space where you can finally hear your soul's true voice. Let loneliness become your teacher, showing you how to love yourself without needing anyone else to fill the void. Don't rush to find someone to ease the silence. Allow yourself to be still, so you can hear what your spirit truly needs. Because only when you learn to stand firm in silence do you become unshakable. No matter which group you belong to, early, mid, or late Gemini, the core message remains the same. Don't rush to speak. Observe. Listen. Wait for the truth to reveal itself. Because what's unclear today will eventually be illuminated. And those who once hurt you will realize they had touched a light they never fully understood. Gemini, the universe is working quietly, precisely, and with divine timing. You don't need to do anything except keep your heart calm and trust that everything is happening for you, not against you. Remember, every word you choose not to say, every emotion you choose to release, opens another door to greater wisdom. Which Gemini group are you? Leave a comment to let me know, and don't forget to subscribe, because in the next video, I'll share deeper forecasts for each Gemini group, helping you understand the exact path the universe is guiding you through. Part 5. When silence becomes strength, and a new gate opens. Dear Gemini, sometimes the greatest progress in life doesn't come from action. It comes from the moment you pause. When you stop speaking, stop explaining, stop trying to make others understand you, that's when the miracle begins. This weekend, the universe isn't asking you to prove anything. You don't need to respond to anyone, to show that you're right, or to appear stronger than before. On the contrary, this is a time of inner testing, when the universe is observing how you manage your own energy. It's quietly asking, has your mind become calm enough to master itself? Remember, you are Gemini, the soul of duality, expression and listening, reaction and observation, thought and feeling. You were born with the gift of words, but sometimes words drain you. You may speak beautifully, but do you know when not to speak? You may understand others, but do you truly understand yourself? When you choose stillness over argument, you don't lose your voice, you elevate it. You realign your communication energy to a higher frequency. Then, every word you speak afterward carries greater weight, not driven by impulse, but infused with clarity that only silence can create. Imagine this. Someone attacks you verbally, but you don't respond. You simply smile. They become unsettled, while their energy, which once had the power to hurt you, can no longer reach you, because you've chosen to stand on a higher plane. Your silence is no longer avoidance. It's your declaration of strength. The universe recognizes that signal. It understands that you've completed an old lesson, that you no longer need to enter the same battles to prove yourself. And the moment you demonstrate that, not through action, but through non-action, a new gate opens. After this weekend, you'll start to notice very real, very visible changes. Old connections, those no longer aligned with your energy, will fade away naturally, without a word. New opportunities in work, relationships, or life paths will appear effortlessly, like a gentle breeze. And your intuition, Gemini's greatest gift, will sharpen and expand more than ever before. You'll begin to notice things you once overlooked. The light in someone's eyes, the emotion in a loved one's tone, the hidden meanings in your dreams. Because you're no longer reacting, you're present. When you no longer need to win any argument, you start winning your life. When you no longer need to be understood, you begin to understand yourself. And when you no longer need to speak to prove, your voice itself becomes healing. Gemini, silence doesn't kill the fire within you, it refines it. It makes your flame burn deeper, brighter, steadier. because you no longer use that fire to burn others. You use it to illuminate your own path. This weekend, if you feel tested, if someone tries to provoke a reaction, remember, the universe is watching, waiting to see which version of you will rise, the old self that reacts with emotion, or the new self that responds with calm, clarity, and power. Don't fear the people who drift away. They leave because their energy no longer aligns with yours. Don't chase. Don't explain. When one door closes, it isn't loss, it's an invitation to evolve. And once you pass this test, you'll feel transformed, no longer trembling when misunderstood, no longer confused when others don't get you. You'll feel light, clear, and free, just like the air element that defines you. Dear Gemini, you don't need to tell the world you've changed. Let your energy speak for you. Those who are attuned will feel it. If you choose to walk through this test in silence, leave a comment. I'm ready for my Gemini evolution. And don't forget to subscribe, because your journey of evolution has only just begun, and the universe still has many messages waiting for you ahead. Dear Gemini, if you've made it this far, it means your soul is truly ready for a new chapter, one where you no longer get carried away by the noise outside, but begin to listen to the voice within. This weekend, the universe isn't sending you a crisis, but an opportunity to master your own energy. When you learn to pause before reacting, when you choose silence over argument, you're not just passing a test, you're transforming the entire frequency of your soul. Because peace doesn't come from controlling others. It comes from knowing that you always have the power to choose your response. That's the deepest message this video wants to share. Not everyone deserves your energy. Not every battle deserves your presence. And not every word deserves your reply. When you choose peace over reaction, silence over debate, and evolution over repetition, you step into a higher plane of consciousness where you become the master of your own destiny. Carry this lesson into your everyday life. When someone hurts, you take a deep breath. When you're misunderstood, smile. When you want to prove yourself, step back for a moment. Each time you choose calm over anger, the universe records your growth on a higher level of awareness. And then you'll notice the miracle. The things that once kept you up at night now pass by like a gentle breeze. You've grown. You've truly evolved. If this video resonates with your heart, leave a comment below. I'm ready for my Gemini evolution. That's not just a statement. It's a signal to the universe that you're ready to enter your next chapter. Don't forget to like this video to send your light into the world. Subscribe to receive more astrological messages right on time, and turn on the notification bell so the universe always knows how to reach you. Gemini, you don't need to prove anything anymore. You only need to live in alignment with your own light. I'll see you in the next video, where your journey of evolution continues to unfold, revealing beauty beyond anything you've ever imagined. The universe is always with you as long as you remember to listen.